All right, guys, welcome to the Mr. Globe podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Today, this is not going to be a really long, not really long video, guys. Technically, this might be like a 45-minute podcast. I only have a few topics, ladies and gentlemen, to talk about, and a lot of hilarious things that might be going on in boxing, which I find peculiar. I really don't know what to say about this because this is the most ridiculous type of information I've found in boxing that just makes it more hilarious for me to even talk about because it's like nothing is coming. I thought this was all fake until realizing this is true. But guys, it's kind of weird because in 1962, so guys, here's the thing. In 1962, the WBA, which was actually the NBA, National Boxing Association, from 1921 to 1962, was the organization at the time. And of course, by 1963 is when the WBC came. And of course, in 83, the IBF and the WBO in 88, but yet again, never became major until 2007. But it became a big deal. But of course, it changed to WBA until then. And then suddenly, guys, I looked up information from every single world title. And before you know it, while looking up titles on BoxRec, and then I typed in heavyweight and then cruiserweight, I realized in Rosecroft Raceway in Fort Washington, Maryland, had two world titles on May the 10th, last week ago. And they were both NBA light heavyweight and NBA cruiserweight. And I questioned it like crazy. And by the way, the last time the NBA ever had a world title shot, even in 1962, was back in June the 23rd with Harold Johnson defeating Gustav Schultz in Germany by a 15-round unanimous decision. And that was it. And what's crazy because in March the 1st, a couple months ago, Christopher Glenn defeated Brendan Chambers in Maryland Live Casino in Hanover, Maryland on March the 1st for the NBA World Featherweight Champion. And that was an 8-round fight. And the other two fights I talked about on May the 10th that happened a week ago were 6-round fights. Christopher Glenn is 8-1 with 3 knockouts. He's ranked number 288 in the super bantamweight, and he also won the UBO International Super Bantamweight that same night, which is weird because he was fighting for the featherweight. But at this moment, I was like, okay, how is this a world title match? And because at this moment, Christopher Glenn, guys, I don't know who organized this, but this was ridiculous. He defeats Brendan Chambers, a guy that has 10 wins, and now he scored his 4th loss by an 8-round domination with 1 draw. The other 2 fights that happened last week ago are interesting because this is what makes it hilarious. Esri Turner is now 6-0 with his 4th knockout win in a round 3 fight. And I actually looked him up on Facebook, and I found a lot of information on his Facebook account known as Esri Turner Jr., a guy with 4,800 followers, 0 following. And it's interesting because I found information and a lot of hilariousness, such as how it shows video footages of his other spar fights. But then around the 15th, he gets a picture called Just Keep Winning Champ. And it just sees him holding the NBA belt, which is ridiculous because I don't know why. It shows photos of his weigh-in with the fighter he fought against and then his record win. There is footage of a Facebook short that's only a couple minutes long, which shows his fighter stumbling 20 seconds into the first or second round for some reason, which is hilarious. Was it? I think it was the wait. I'm actually watching this Facebook video right now, and yeah, it's round 2, and it's crazy because this fighter wasn't meant to be in the ring. The guy had a 5-1-1 record. His last 2 fights was a draw and a loss, so that disclaims his damage. He comes in round 3 with 45 seconds into the 3rd round, and the guy stumbles out of the ring, getting beaten up by Ensri. And for the next 2 more 1 minute and a half after this, he just goes down, complains about getting hit in the back of the head. It was bad. And even when he stumbled with 30 seconds left of the fight. The referee counts him, tells him to continue, get up. He was knocked down only a multitude of times, like over 3 times in the third round. At that moment, what was the point of the referee continuing? If the guy was going to stumble for no reason, then he had no chance of belonging into the ring. The title of the video, by the way, is called, "They Say If Your Opponent Doesn't Belong in There With You, Then to get them out of there after the fight, he thanked me for the opportunity. Nah, thank you for being a part of my journey. No time see thing." The fight itself was pretty interesting. It was a 6-round fight. It ended in round 3 by knockout at 233. And yeah, the guy's ranked number 210. And I actually gave him a hard up. And I'm also following him on BoxRec. But I wish the guy good luck. It's weird because this fight was so it's kind of weird. This was for the light heavyweight title, but in BoxRec it said that this was a super middleweight fight. His opponent Goldston was 167 3/4, but he was 171 and a half. That's not super middleweight. Super middleweight is 268 pounds even. So I don't know why this would be for the light heavyweight title unless if Goldston defeated Turner, but because he was low on weight, which meant the title was going to be vacant if he won the fight, which means the title was on the line for Turner. I don't know. By the way, there is one more other fight that same night, which was Tyler Langer, a guy that has scored his 5th win. And looking at his picture, this guy has a huge big beard. Not bigger than Duck Dynasty, but this guy took 5 professional fights, and he is ranked in the heavyweight at 368. Tyler Langer is 5'10" from Maryland, makes sense. 30 years old, 5'10", and considering that he's ranked as a heavyweight fighter, he hasn't fought in a heavyweight fight since I would say, since September of 2024. And his debut fight in August a month ago was a cruiserweight fight. He was 200 pounds even. He was 199 3/4 in his 3rd fight against a guy that was over the weight of 200. And his 4th fight in March the 1st was in the same venue where the other guy won the featherweight NBA title. He was cruiserweight. And this fight was also a cruiserweight fight. So reasons why that he's ranked in heavyweight and not cruiserweight, we don't know. He went through 6 rounds, and it took him from August 24th, 2024 to May the 10th, 2025 to get his 5th win to become a world champion. It's ridiculous. But guys, I just don't know what to say about that. So anyway, guys, back to the story. So guys, the NBA was already a title back in the days, but not anymore because it changed to the WBA. And during its final years in life, there were titles that were being fought in countries from Brazil and Japan, Venezuela, and even Germany during its final years. And America had a lot more. Arena in Philadelphia and Pennsylvania back in May the 12th, 1962 with Harold Johnson defeating Doug Jones for the light heavyweight title was its other match that they won until a month later. He moved to Germany to fight again for the title again. So Harold Johnson had other plans for that. Japan had Ponni Kingpech take on Neil Noguchi, where he actually came out of nowhere and squeaked out to retain the world flyweight title. And that was it. Around that time later, several months later, he had, it was actually the WBA belt at that time, and that's when Fighting Harada defeated him by round 11 KO, and that was the start of competition there. Until he won it back in January against him, but then he lost again a 1st-round knockout for a WBC belt that was inaugural at the time. So, but then had a rematch and became undisputed, and other fights lost in the future, but there's more to this than meets the eye. But I will say, though, there was a lot of interesting, surprising factors here happening behind the scenes, because I was seeing a lot more interesting things happening than what it is. But yeah, the NBA, I still find it a little bit questionable just because of it just seemed like there's just so much problems. I'm just questioning why this is the case, but at the end of the day, I'm just eager to know what's going to happen in the next episode. But for now, we're just going to have to wait and see what happens, because it just seems like there's just so much crazy stuff happening. I just feel like there's something going on in Denmark that I really can't tell what's going on. So for reasons why the NBA belt is active, we're just going to have to find that out. But I don't think we will, because these aren't really titles anymore. But do they deserve to be titles for big fights? I don't think these 3 fighters that won those titles are going to be big anytime soon. So good luck with that. Good luck with that.